Sometimes people say I put too much focus on 2028. Maybe I do, but it's happening now, and it's super important. And when people say it's an endless campaign, it is. It's a really important job. Bob Iger's successor search has been covered for about 20 years, and nobody
It's true.
complains about that. So Axios Sundays now, it's doing it for about a month, does a newsletter on 2028. They focus more on the Democrats so far than the Republicans, and they usually are doing a good job of catching up to my reporting. Just a week or two behind, which is really impressive. Sometimes I hurt myself patting myself on the back. But two stories that lead the newsletter today. They'll get to the fact that Ted Cruz is running in probably next week. That would be the right pacing. Two stories they lead with today, very important. One is Gavin Newsom and the fact that anonymous Democrats, here's the headline, inside the push to knock Newsom off his Perch as 2028 front. I've been raising this for over a month. You can't let somebody just break free, and there's so much to put out on him. Now, they quote these anonymous people, and some of it's on deep background, so they're not quotes. They're just saying, well, this is the kind of thing we're going after. Some of it's going after him from the left. Some of them is going after him on the right. Some of it's going after him on competence. Some of it's going after on electability. Some of it's going after very personal things. Some's going after very professional things. And there's no single frame, which, as both Kevin and Amber know, usually that's a sign of weakness, not strength. You can't say, well, there's 1,000 things to go after Newsom on, just like there's 1,000 things to go after Trump on. You're supposed to pick one. So, Amber, if Gavin Newsom has a vulnerability, not in the general election, I always remind people the difference between the general and the nomination fight. If he's got a vulnerability in the nomination fight, what's his single greatest vulnerability, would you say?
Uh, I would probably put it at his willingness to do the podcast with the conservative folks and potentially vetoing some more progressive bills as of late, because that loses him the primary base, which is
Yeah.
the most important thing in a primary for Democrats.
So the frame would be he's not a genuine progressive.
Yeah, totally.
He'll
Shapeshifter.
associate with Charlie Kirk and he'll veto the legislature's bills. Okay, Kevin, what's his greatest vulnerability in a nomination fight?
Yeah, and we talked about this last week, Mark, in terms of your ratings. I think you had him at number one
Yes, sir.
right now at this point. I think it's an authenticity issue. I think it's the same problem with Wes Moore, where biography is so key to their rise, right? He's had to talk about,
Yeah,
his hard scrabble upbringing and mansions in California and stuff like that. And like just the idea that he shape
yeah,
shifts a little
yeah,
bit based on issues to Amber's point too, right?
yeah,
Bringing on, having an authentic conversation with Charlie Kirk, then vetoing these
yeah,
progressive bills to try and be too cute by
yeah.
half.
Okay,
I
so
think on some of these issues is the problem.
those are related, but they're different.
Yes.
One is phony, right, and the other is not really a progressive. Do either of you want to swap and take the other one's mainframe, or you want to stick by yours?
Uh,
I'm
uh,
gonna stick with mine because I
Yeah.
think
yeah,
Okay.
because the lack of true progressive roots was what killed Kamala Harris's primary bid,
Yeah.
not her in
Yeah.
inauthenticity.
Yeah. Kevin, do you want to switch to not a progressive, or you want to stick with phony?
I think it all comes down to character, right? When you're
Yeah.
trying to break out of that pack and it's
Yeah.
got to be a personal narrative,
Yeah.
that's the problem.
The only other thing I'll say about that Axios piece is these consultants to these other hopefuls, they can get a reporter and speak on background and say, watch out. But executing on this, particularly now, very difficult. Very difficult. So I think if they think talking to Axios in a braggadocious way is going to slow a Gavin Newsom down, I don't think they're right. And that's, I mean, I'm sure he's going to be the nominee. I'm just saying, talking to Axios slowed down.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.
And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and Two Way Tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.